Good day everyone, welcome back to my channel. As you have seen that I've actually done an unboxing on this Lian Li OL11 Dynamic Mini, and I'm actually impressed with this case itself because I always wanted something like that, but the big brother of this case itself, right, the OL11 Dynamic Original, it's very big. So having said so, right, when they came out with this case itself, actually I've done a lot of research, so I've actually gotten this case. The objective is actually to transfer all my old PC parts over to this case itself. And having to say so, right, I did fever with this case itself, and there are some stuff that I need to actually talk about. Now, I'm not going to go into details with the interior because I only have an ATX board. I don't have a ITX, MATX or EATX board. Now, some of you might be curious, why am I wearing gloves? Reason being, right, I'm still waiting for my PSU, which is actually a SFX PSU, because this case itself, right, does not allow you to put the normal ATX power supply. So with this say, right, I'm actually wearing gloves. Reason being, right, though I have not peeled off the side panel and the front panel covering, I will actually touch the case itself, and the top is actually made of aluminium. Same goes to the back. So when I touch with my bare hands, right, there will be fingerprints all over. That's the reason why I'm actually wearing gloves. To start off, right, to take off the side panel, you will need to actually remove 2 thumb screws from the back. And to take off the top cover. Now, the top cover itself, right, do take note that the edges here are pretty sharp. So handle with care. Especially when you finish your PC itself, right, when you carry it, right, you have to be very careful. You might get cut, so do take note. Now, to take out the side panel, right, you just need to actually, best is actually to hold on the glass at the bottom, and from the top, leave it up, so that you have a good grip. And the glass itself, right, it's all tapered nicely. There are no sharp edges. And I forgot to mention that the top there is a fan netting, or should I say the mesh, to actually trap all the dust if you are doing intake from the top. But if you are doing exhaust, right, you can actually remove this. This is not necessary. And at the side, do the same thing. Just hold at the bottom, and at the top, lift it up, so that you're holding on the thing and you're actually supporting it, so you will not break the glass. Same thing, the edges here are all nicely tapered. Oops. So you won't get cut. And from the back itself, to unscrew the back itself, right, same thing, there are 2 thumb screws, which is pretty tight. You don't have to unscrew all the way because this thing is actually catch onto the side panel. Then from here, right, let me just shift over here. There is a gap over here, just pull it off. See? And make sure that you support it while you're actually pulling. Take it out. Now, do careful with the edges again. It's pretty sharp. In fact, they should actually taper this sides. Now, one thing I noticed from the back itself, right, there are 2 fan dust mesh filters. Now, this is actually magnetic, which catches to these 2 frames here, or should I say 2 strips over here. If you were to actually do it on the aluminum, right, see, it doesn't stick. So you have to actually align it. When you finish fixing your PC components, you will need to actually align it so that it will stay. If not, if you were to do like this, see, it will just drop. Now, from the front side itself, right, talking about the interior, before I step into it, there is another fan filter at the bottom. What you need to do is just to push down and slowly pull it out. This is how easy it is. Now, as you wash this fan filter itself, right, make sure that you place the correct position itself. Let's say, for example, you were to wash it and you wouldn't know which orientation it is, and if you were to put it the other way around, this will not fit in. And when you push it, right, it's like when you force it, you're going to break the sides over here. So make sure that you place them correctly. And it's normally very easy slide into position. If you feel that there is a resistance, stop. Turn over and try again. This will prevent you from breaking the fan filters. And to place it back right, make sure you push it all the way where you hear a click. Now the interior itself, right, I'll talk about the top, the sides, the front, the bottom and the back. Now having to say the bottom itself, this enables you to put 3 120mm fans, or you can actually place a 360 radiator. Now it depends on the configuration, because this case itself allows you to put ATX motherboard, MATX motherboard, ITX motherboard and EATX motherboard. However, I do not have those to show you, so I'm just going to briefly go through. Now at the back itself, right, there are 7 expansion slots. It's actually modular. I will show you how modular it is. And over here, right, you can place either a 120mm fan or 120 AIO water cooling. And at the sides over here, you can place 2 120mm fans or 240 AIO, or 240mm fans or a 280 AIO. And then the top part here, right, this is a bit tricky. Now I'll just put it this way. Now at the top here itself, right, based on the fact that you are able to place 3 120mm fans or 2 240mm fans, but when it comes to radiator, right, again, it all depends on your configuration of your motherboard. If you're using a ITX or a ATX, you're able to actually fit radiator about 30mm thick. Together with your fan, the total height is about, I would say, not beyond 55 or 57. So do take note on this. Now, there are rubber grommets for you to actually do your cable management. There's a big cutout here where you can actually place your back plate on your motherboard, and you can actually place your processor on the motherboard itself. And there are some openings over here, the top and the bottom. This is where you actually route all the, I would say, the fans, or maybe your ARGB cables. And for the top, right, it's actually for your EPS connection, and also your fans and your ARGB cables. I mean ARGB cables for your fans. Now the front itself, right, does not allow you to actually place any fans at all, so do take note on this. Now at the back itself, right, as I mentioned to you, this is actually a very modular kind of stuff whereby you can actually shift the position. Now when you're doing the shifting, right, I noticed that you should actually take out everything. What do I mean by that? Because this, if you take out this, right, you can't take it out all because it's actually catch on it. So you have to take everything out. So do be careful. Now all this, right, will scratch if you don't handle them carefully, and the paint will just scratch off. So do take note on this. So just an illustration, right, you can actually take off everything. Make sure that you support and to hold them properly. Then you start to configure either MATX, okay, or ATX, or should I say ITX, and depends on where you want to place the position. And when you're placing it back, right, make sure that you start off from the bottom itself and not the top all the way down. And when you're placing it back, make sure that you flush to the case itself. And do take note on this screws itself, make sure that you align it properly. Because if you do not align it properly, right, your screw thread might just warp and, worn off, and that's it. So make sure you align it properly. Make sure that it's straight before you screw it in. So take note on this. And let's say you want it this way, right, you can just place this here, align them properly again. See, there's cache over here. I'm not too sure if you can see. Now let me see if I could shift this. Okay, as mentioned to you, right, probably later I'll have a blow up and you can actually take a look. So when you're placing this back, make sure that this thing here, this thing over here, right, catch to the cage itself. If not, you will warp this side. You will warp this plate here, and they are not very, I should say it's actually sturdy, but they are not flexible. So do take note on this. So you wouldn't want to actually damage the piece. So make sure you catch them at the correct spot. Now I'll just leave this here. I'm not going to fix it back just to save time. Now the bag itself, right, is also very modular. This is actually where you can actually place two 2.5 inch SSD. It's just catched by one thumb screw. You can actually just leave it up. So when you leave it up, right, do be careful again. Oh, I have to actually unscrew the bottom. There's one screw over here. So when you're fiddling with this case, right, do not force it. Things should just be removed easily. Because if it doesn't, right, do not force it. You might bend the steel itself. See, this is how it's taken out. And this is where your cable management is. It does come with 3 Velcro stripes to actually hold your cables. So when you're actually doing your power supply, etc., you can actually use this to catch it and to route your cables out from the rubber grommets here. Now this area, in fact, is actually the HDD cage itself, or hard disk cage. It allows you to actually mount 2 3.5 inch hard disks, and you can actually remove this whole cage itself. By removing this whole cage, right, it doesn't mean that, okay, let me just show you at the side. Now if you were to actually remove this cage whole thing off, I know that the power supply is actually this wide, but you're not able to place your power supply below. You will have to actually stick to the top. Reason being, right, there are no screw mountings below for the PSU. So do take note on this. And when you are taking out, not removing the cage, I'm not going to remove that, but just to show you that you can remove the whole cage with just 4 screws. The whole cage will be out. But if you are using the cage, one thing to take note, there is this thumb screw over here that lock this 2 cage where you will not be able to actually take it out. Do not unscrew the whole thumb screw below. All you need to do is just to loosen it up a bit and push to your left. Then your cage will be removable. And when you put it back, latch it to the right where it locks. Okay, I would just secure it. See, this is actually locked, so I can't push it out, no way. So make sure that you unscrew a bit from the screw thread and not everything. If not, the whole locking mechanism, right, will just drop off. So make sure you do that. And the orientation of this hard disk, right, while you're actually fiddling with it, make sure you put at the correct position, as in like the orientation itself. Because if you were to do it the other way around, you can't push it in. And some might even, oh, you can. No, you can't. On the outer section, right, you will not be able to. So make sure you do it correctly. When it doesn't fit in, right, do not push it or force it. You will damage the whole, I should say, the guiding slot on the hard disk cage itself. So take note on this. So what you need to do, right, I will actually do it at the outside because this is where it ables to slot it nicely. If you do it in the wrong orientation, right, you see, it doesn't allow me to push the cage in, not at all. So make sure that you do the correct orientation with the first facing towards the outside, then followed by the second hard disk, or should I say the other holder, hard disk holder, then slowly slide it in. Once you have done that, right, switch it to your right, then screw it. This will tighten the cage itself. From the top itself, you'll be able to see the power button, the 2.5 headphone jack, where it's actually a combo jack to control the microphone and the sound out, and a USB Type-C connector which connects to your motherboard, and 2 USB 3 port. What's in the package itself? These are actually the accessories. This is just some protection, a thank you card, the manual of the case itself, where it shows you all the parts and such, and how modular this case is. Some pump brackets, more pump brackets. Now this piece here, right, in fact allows you to extend, because the case itself, when you mount the ITX or the MATX, not a problem. But when you mount the ATX or the EATX motherboard, right, you will need to actually attach this to the case itself. Oh, additional covers, I believe is actually for the back. Yep, that's right. The modular thing that I've actually mentioned earlier. More pump brackets. This is similar to this, which is actually for the back. And of course, I believe this is actually all the screws. Cable ties, 5 of each. These are all the screws, I believe, are for the fans, for your hard disk, and etc. Oh, some motherboard standoff that I can see. And these are additional thumb screws. And of course, oh, they come with the radiator screws. Pretty neat. Now, still looking at the interior itself, something which I actually have to mention. Itself, when you're actually fixing your PC components, right, not an issue, because all this, right, I can actually run through. There are no sharp edges whatsoever. I can just run through the whole case itself, not a problem. Now, before I conclude the whole video itself, right, just some recap. As you know that I've actually not done very detailed on the interior itself. I believe there are lots of YouTube explanation on how the gaps are like and how you do the positioning. On this video itself, right, I'm just going to highlight some of the things and to recap what I've actually mentioned. First of all, the hard disk cage itself, as you can see here. I told you that the orientation itself, right now you have a closer look. Make sure you unscrew this thumb screw here, move it to your left so that you can actually pull your hard disk cage. And when you place your hard disk cage, right, make sure you place the exterior part first before you put the interior part, because the orientation itself, right, if I were to switch the other side, see, I can't push it in. It's not going to go in. In fact, it's actually tilted. If you can see here, see, it's actually tilted. So make sure you put it at the correct direction and slot it carefully. It should be easily slot in, so no force is required. And once you're done, right, lock. The top cover and the side panels, so make sure that you handle them with care. This is quite flexible. If you don't handle them with care, it might get bent because it's actually aluminium. And do be careful of the sides. I'm talking about this. So when you have fixed the whole PC back together, right, when you carry it, right, especially your arms over here, just be careful that you don't get cut. It's very sharp. It's not really that sharp, but able to cut you because they are pretty square. Next will be the side panel itself with these two fan filters. Make sure that before you assemble it back, as these are magnetic. Okay, just an illustration. The whole piece here is actually aluminium, so it doesn't stick to aluminium. See, it will just drop out. So make sure that you align to these two strips here. Then you place it so that it will hold. If not, it will drop. For example, let's say you place it this way, it will drop. Okay? Take note about it. It didn't drop because there's one screw over here, or should I say a guiding nipple. So do take note on this. Make sure that you actually place them nicely. Then last but not least, the glass itself, right, do handle them with care. When you slot out from the case, right, make sure you place one of the hand at the bottom and the other hand you can actually just swap out and push it out. Same goes to the side panel. This will let you handle the glass properly and not the sides, because the sides itself, right, it's like the weight, the gravity, you might just drop the glass and break the glass. Alright, there you have it. I've actually mentioned all the precautions on this case itself, so do take note if you purchase this case. And one more thing to take note, that this case, right, in fact, I believe is not very good with airflow system. You will probably need to either get AIOs on both your processor and your, I should say, GPU. Or you can actually do custom looping, as in like water cooling. But for me, right, I'm going to transfer whatever from my OPC to this case, and I do have a AIO on my CPU and my GPU. Alright then, hope you actually enjoyed what I've actually mentioned, and do be careful when you're handling this case. It's not dangerous, it's just that some of the things that I noticed that most of the reviewers will not mention about this. There you have it. Now, if you like my channel, do subscribe, and do remember to actually click on the notification button for more updates on my next video. Till then, everyone, take care, goodbye, see ya.